Now put up one finger in the air, all the other ones not in the air. I like it. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. This is under my mushroom cap because I have one on my head. Heralding College, named TBD, deciding things. Today we're going to talk about two things: heralding, marshalling, reaving 101, heralding, marshalling, reaving 201. I'll explain what those things are while I talk about the things. Everybody good with that? Yeah. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what the role. So I use the word herald. Out west, that's what we use. Out here, we use marshal, reeve sometimes. Oh, there's one behind you. So just understand that what I'm teaching you applies to AmpGuard, to any game where you're some sort of referee and it's an honor-based game. I think this applies. So insert whatever name you feel most comfortable with instead of herald. I'm using herald. So what is a herald? A herald is a shepherd. A herald is a guide. A herald is the facilitator of fun. Who here has ever seen theater? You know, you've got the actors, but what is in the back making things function? The stage crew. Has anybody ever been on stage crew here? Woo! All right, check it out. The herald is the stage crew of a Bellegarth event. You get to dictate how fun the event is for just about everybody who steps on the field. So, if you're the shepherd of fun, you're more than just a volunteer shift. You're not just signing up, doing the thing for 45 minutes, doing your part for the event, which, by the way, if that's all you're doing, thank you, still learn how to do it. Yes. Tell them about my class if you want to take my class. Okay. So, I'm going to talk about megaphones, but I don't have one anymore, so we'll deal with it. So you guys, you're the stage. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're the stage crew of this, which means some people, as they get more advanced, will become the stage managers of this. And for anybody in theater, you know there's a different level of anxiety that comes about. I'm really grateful for my buddy back there because he taught me the LAM system. So number one, heralding 101. Y'all know what a herald is now. Yeah. What does a herald do? A herald is a little bouncing lamb. Why? You gotta be loud. No matter what, if you're heralding, you have to be loud. You have to be attentive. That's the whole fucking point, right? You have to be mobile because Bellegarth is mobile. And what is the B?
Bouncer.
Well, sure, but no. You have to be a bouncer because ultimately, if you're the shepherd of fun, what does a shepherd do if a wolf comes to attack his flock or their flock?
Beat it with a stick.
Beat it with a stick. So you are the defenders of fun. That is the role of a herald. That is why it is more than just a single volunteer shift. Personally, I've been heralding on and off since 2010, and I think it's like some of the most fun you can have on the field. So now that you know that you need to be a loud, attentive, mobile bouncer, just before I move, does anybody have any questions about that acronym? If that's the only thing you learned from this class, again, thanks, Tech. That's honestly all you need. Loud, attentive, mobile bouncer. Make sense? Cool. So a lot of people look at heralding. Yes, question, sorry.
When you say mobile, like how mobile? Are we sprinting all over?
Maybe. It depends on the situation and your own ability, right? And we'll get into that when we talk a little bit more about different types of heralds. Good question. So right now, just in this 101 class, I'm going to break down one really important distinction. Tournament heralding is not the same as field heralding. Field heralding is not the same as tournament heralding. I'm going to talk about field heralding mostly for the start of this, because that's a lot easier to get into, and I personally believe it's where everybody should start. The only reason for that is because tournaments have egos. Egos mean people get angry. Angry means people have bad times and go sad things. Guys, why the fuck are we here?
Fun.
We're here to have fun. And if you're the shepherd of fun, You have to have fun. So I'm skipping way ahead to just say this blanket statement. If you are not having fun heralding, sit down. You're not a good herald. That's not your fault. Maybe you're having a bad day, but you can't facilitate fun if you yourself are not having fun. Right? So what is the difference? Facilitate fun. Fun facilitation! Okay, so what is the difference between a tournament herald and a field herald, yeah? So I have a handy dandy notebook because I come prepared. So a field herald, you're a stagehand, right? You're facilitating the game. Maybe you're an objective, maybe you're a spawn point, maybe you're a line marshal, right? And your job is to kind of shepherd the field safety. So really it's, as a field herald, I'm looking for, the rules matter, but I worry much more about attitudes. Who here has been in this game for more than 10 years? Have you ever seen somebody get angry on the field? Have you ever seen somebody get way too angry on the field? And you saw that person 20 minutes earlier steaming but not that mad. If a herald steps in when they're steaming and not that mad, they can absolutely diffuse the situation. And that's a really important thing to do when you're shepherding fun. A tournament herald, on the other hand, you're still a stage crew, right? You're still facilitating fun, but you're also, especially in the Southeast, facilitating the most competitive environment we have in this game where people really give a shit. So it's important to think about the rules in a tournament setting a little bit more. Think about having the confidence to speak up and to question things, right? It's a little bit more detailed because the call matters more. But for those people who like sports ball, do refs make wrong calls sometimes?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Do they still need to make fucking calls?
Yes.
Would you rather a ref make no calls or make some wrong calls?
Wrong calls.
Right. So I want to encourage everybody who heralds to actually feel empowered to speak, even if it's just among your fellow heralds. Then the last thing for Heralding 101, I'll tell you this. The reason I like to herald is because when I first started this game, getting hits, I didn't like the idea, but I wanted to see what the adrenaline was like. Now I'm a crazy stick jock that paints myself green, so it's weird, right? But the thing is, it's the best seat in the house. You see everything. If you're in the corner on a tournament, man, I get to see all of it. There's people behind me, sucks for them. I'm doing my job. But my job gets to be the best seat in the house. On the field, same thing. And then there's the longevity of it. Who here has been injured because you played Belladonna? Sorry. When you're injured, sometimes you feel like you can't participate. But I've said this in many situations. What makes Bellegarde beautiful is that it's just a game, but also it's not. And because of that, there's so much more than just fighting. So doing heralding can allow you to have a future in this game. If the moon forbid you can't fight anymore, well, fuck it, you don't want to in the first place. Nothing wrong with that. So that's Heralding 101. The most biggest important takeaway is the LAM system, which is, say it with me, loud,
attentive, mobile, bouncer.
There we go. And then the second most important thing is that if you are not having fun, don't do it. And if you want to learn how to have fun doing it, learn, right? So that's 101. 201 is a little bit more detailed. So you have field heralding and you have tournament heralding. But you also have home field heralding, which is different because it's your local practice with people that you know. You have day battle heralding where you have a small amount of time to understand what the field is. And then you have multi-day event heralding. They're all different. And they have different things you kind of gotta think about when you're processing. For me, it really comes down to if I'm at my practice, I'm practicing. So if I'm choosing to herald, I'm going to try to herald. And that doesn't mean, oh, you're cheating, but it's like, how can I make this day better than other practices? How can I make it more fun? Because ultimately that's what I'm practicing. At a day battle, me personally, I do a lot of like research. What is the community that I'm a part of interested in when it comes to how they want their fun facilitated, right? And maybe that just means I'm sitting on the side, I've been fighting for a while. I am so flippant angry at how sluffy this shit is. So what do? Right? Flip the motherfucker and go do something about it. For those of you who are at the day battle we had a couple months ago in Florida, it was a rough day battle. I got annoyed, I flipped it, and changed the entire attitude of the field. I am one person. If you do that in a group, you can do that more effectively. And then at an event itself, you have the beauty of working with heralds that are up to ones heralds that are better than you. You can learn and you can see people more experienced in how they function. Your question?
Do you mean, when you say flip it, you mean flip your attitude from
Yes.
fun facilitator to bouncer, correct?
No, I flipped the attitude of the field. So it went from everybody is upset to everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
Now, I did have to step into that bouncer role a little bit, but that really wasn't what mattered. In fact, I got way more benefit there from honey than vinegar, right?
Okay.
So, to that point, conflict. Conflict happens in delegate. How do you deal with conflict as a herald? First rule, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Don't deal with it alone. If you're a herald, go get another herald. Right? Ideally, you can stop it before it even happens by being attentive to people's moods, because you can have a one-on-one conversation very easily. Try to not like do it in the middle of the fight. Wait till they die. Go take them aside. Right? If it's really, really egregious, you can deal with it in the middle, but you don't need to. The way you communicate matters. If you're angry, I come up to you and I go, "You're fucking cheating, bro. What the fuck?" Dude, I'm getting punched in the face. But if I'm calm, steady, even tonality can completely diffuse the situation. And you want to diffuse those situations. That's why it's important not to go alone. Because when you go alone, you feel maybe more defensive. And that can just naturally create a little bit more tension. Whereas if you have a friend, maybe you can be more calm. No matter what, some people are really good at it and some people aren't, but conflict's scary. Right? And that's something we have to be aware of, especially when adrenaline's are high.
What if you're the only marshal on the field?
So that's a really good point. So if you're in a situation where you're the only marshal on the field and you are not comfortable dealing with conflict, because if you're comfortable dealing with conflict, fucking deal with it. It is what it is, right? But if you're not comfortable with conflict, I have plants whenever I'm running a field. Bias is an excellent example. Stellar is an excellent example. These are people that are on the field that I know. If I'm in a situation where I need help, all I have to do is say a word, right? And that's learning your field, learning your fighters. Who will support you? Like for me, if I look at Nia, Nia's gonna beat them with a cane. It's great.
I'm not gonna beat anyone with a cane, I promise.
Yes, please. Addendum.
What I tell everybody is if you're the only marshal on the field, remember that if you stop the battle to deal with this conflict, you're now not alone. Everyone who was having fun just had to stop having fun so that the dude in charge could remind two angry people that this is just a game. So once you pause the game, the entire field is now on your side versus the two people that made them stop having fun. So remember that. If you pause it, the flock will stand behind you.
Another place to look, especially if like you're learning and you have a well-established realm, is your local realm leadership. Like if you are on the field in yellow and you don't feel like the people in charge of the realm are supporting you, that's probably because you don't have them. You should also be supporting all.
That's a really good point. If you are in a community with knights, war masters, peers, right, you can lean on them because that's their fucking job. But ultimately, right, just try to not be in a situation where you have to do it alone. Which technically the point is perfect. You can build yourself an army immediately by just calling hold. So that's really important to understand. Yes, though.
How you talked about diffusing situations before it gets to that arguing stage. What are some techniques that you use to like see somebody who is in that grumbling phase and get them back to having fun?
Sure, I'm gonna use picnic as an example.
Okay.
So picnic sometimes gets really mad that people have slush puffs on their gloves. So I'll go over to picnic, I'll see picnic's kind of heated, and what picnic does when it's heated is he just isn't as good at fighting because he's not as happy. And he's not having as good of a time. And so I noticed that, and I go to picnic and I talk to him. And then what I'm gonna do is, one, picnic knows I'm aware. Two, either I communicate that with the people, which can make picnic feel vindicated and supported, or I have a conversation. The key for me is tonality, being attentive and listening to conversations. Are they grumbling to their friends? Because you can get that. If you're grumbling, you're gonna grumble to your friend way before you pitch a fit.
Yeah.
Right? So let's catch you when you're grumbling. That's my methodology. And a lot of it is just being aware of the field and having communication with fellow heralds. I'm like this, not doing it alone. This is doing that.
I just had one more thing I wanted to add to this. This is the big thing about the community aspect of everything, is that the situation where he talked about where one herald is all it took to be active. We are a community. Everything that happens is seen by most anybody that's paying attention. The first person that has to be reprimanded is always the hardest. However, once the entire group around you knows that consequences exist, like reprimandations do exist, I kid you not, that one interaction is the hardest, but it will cut a huge percentage of those smaller issues out. Like, we are all human, we are all pack creatures, we are all like paying attention. If I see somebody getting away with cheating, I might think that I can get away with it too. If you see one, that's why I'm a big person of like, I don't like calling it public shaming, but like being publicly called out. Like, and that's the like situation, you're the only herald. You have to be publicly called out. Nobody wants to be that person, and so if that does happen, everyone knows that they now have the chance of being that person, which, as kindergarten as it sounds, it works. Like,
No, 100%. And then the last thing I want to talk about before I get into some tips and tricks and questions is team balance. Who here has been on a team that is not balanced? Is it
Everybody
fun?
put your hand up.
Is it
Literally
fun?
everyone.
Is it fun?
No.
Very rare.
So I think there's a lot of important things with team balancing. I have a different philosophy than a lot of people in the South. I understand you've driven far to play with your friends. If I can move one of you alone, as in picnic again, if I can move picnic, just picnic, and all of a sudden my entire game is balanced, that's great, right? So there's a difference between balancing based on skill set, balancing based on units, judging the value of individual fun, which is very important, to the entire field's fun, which is a little bit more important. You don't want people walking off the field. That's really bad. Everybody has more fun when they're not just fighting their friends all the time. But also, if all of their friends, like, we'll pick on Trowan, if all of the Sons of Terra together, one side, and there isn't something to counter it, everybody else will have a bad time. So sometimes I have to right? So if I'm going to do that, I'll try to. But I'm also going to think, what is the level of fighting, and what is the weapon set? If I'm moving one person, that might cause an effect. If I move 3 archers, that will cause a very different effect. I can't give you a blanket statement as to what you should do in what situations because it's nuanced. But I find archers are very big equalizers with some exceptions, right? Skill does matter. Same thing to go for red fighters. Skill matters. Skill matters in general. I think what's really, really important is so often people stress, oh, we just gotta have people fighting together. That's true, but if I can move just Kita and Picnic to the other side, that might be able to balance the game easier than trying to move 15 people to balance. It is not always the best thing to do, but team balancing takes time, and there is, frankly, I don't think there's anything but practice that can get you really good at seeing the field and relatively balancing. Yes.
Is it worth it in my Heralding experience, I've been cautious of like rebalancing too often because it confuses people.
Absolutely.
But
So the only time you do that, you see you do it at practice very often.
yeah,
If you have one person be the ping pong,
yeah.
you can find a balance that way. At an event this size, that ain't happening. At a local practice, that is happening. So the team balance structure is a little bit different for all. I don't really have that organized. It's going to be 301 from my other classes. Right? The last big thing I want to have before going into tips and tricks is archers and arrows. So, Celery, how much is an arrow shaft these days?
About $15.
And if an arrow shaft breaks, how much is that going to cost?
About 6 of them right now are $75.
So if I am a player and I'm facilitating fun, protecting my player's wallet matters, right? So if I see arrows on the ground, I might pick them up and put them in the pile away from the fighting. Why? Not far away, still make it so that archers can look at their stuff, but a cracked arrow, personally I have seen arrows snap mid-flight and lodge this year. I'm sure people have been in this game a long time and seen it. Yes, we didn't have headshots at this day battle, or this event, sure, but normally we do. It is the most dangerous weapon, and arrows can do a lot in keeping arrows safe. So that would be one thing that I urge everyone to do, even as a fighter. If you see a pile of arrows, put them in a like pick them up and move them into a place where someone's not going to stomp on them.
It's really important, like the bridge battles, where it's like close quarter fighting, because like people just stomp on them. It doesn't matter if you're like, hey, toss the arrows back, hey, let's not step on the arrow. You'll just see even your own teammates walk up, just stomp on the arrow, it breaks.
What I can do as a herald is I can physically pick it up and move it. Yes.
I was going to mention that for newer heralds here, if you're looking for advice on this, if you're trying to recover arrows, it's a great thing to do as a herald. Don't know while the fight's happening. We'll use a bridge battle as an example. It's a strict line, right? Eventually, one side is going to push the other side a little bit forward. When that happens, you're probably standing in the wall area, right? You're behind the wall. That line moves forward. You can just walk forward. You don't even got to pick up. You can just shuffle them. Don't step on them and shuffle with your feet. Push them all against on the outside of the walls, and then that puts you in a safe place that you can kind of throw an equal amount of arrows to left and right, right? That way you're not interrupting a fight, and you're also removing the danger while returning those arrows to archers. You're not this is the easiest way to not play favoritism. If you put them all in one big pile, a archer will run over, arm scoop that pile, and walk it back to one side. So as the facilitator of fun, it's your job to just go ahead and split them. In a bridge battle, as a field hero, you ain't got much to do. But that is an incredibly safe way for you to be impactful without being interrupted.
When everything is going well on the field I'm running, most of my job is just looking around, making sure that everyone is aware of the terrain, and literally picking up arrows, and I drop them to spawn. But that's when everything is going great. I drop half at this spawn, half at that spawn. Keep going.
So that's the primary class. Two more things I realized on this. So one thing is that there are different types of heralds. So you can be on a field like this, you can be an objective, like a physical objective. You have to move me, you have to turn me into a laser, right? So you can be like an NPC. You can be a spawn marshal, they're the ones that count in, making sure people are spawning. Spawn marshals, you guys are the ones that can tell if people are pissed off. When people are walking to death, that's where your intent is seeing if people are pissed off, right? You can have edge heralds, their job is to make people make sure they don't get across the end of the world, or make sure they're avoiding victory locations like pits and things like that. So don't think you have to just be the herald that is watching people's fighting and making sure they're safe. If you don't know how to do that yet, you can facilitate in different ways. So, some tips and tricks of the trade. You are going to be out in the sun a lot. Get a hat. Hats are almost some sort of head cover, pretty much non-optional. Sunscreen is over there. Really, really important. Water, really, really important. You're not fighting, so you might not think you're using as much energy as you do, but I guarantee you if you have a Fitbit, you're walking just as much as you, right? Unless you're a spawn herald or objective, or you need to have because you can, if you're disabled, you can sit on an edge and be a herald. You can be a spawn herald. There's so many ways you can do it. I think, and I've said it before, if you're not having fun, don't do it. Right? If you're not having fun, but you want to have fun, find the reason why you're not having fun. There's a lot lot of us like techno of many types. Myself, really, if you have questions, find us. The learning doesn't end here. I really think it's important to learn body language and if you choose to take it seriously. That will happen with time. Study it, help us, and do things to get better at heralding outside of development. And I think it's important to know your fighters. So if you're at a local park, learn to know your fighters. Learn to see their attitude. If you're at a day battle, there's a lot of day battle, learn your community. Like I can tell if Danny's having a bad time. I oftentimes don't check on it.
I'm clear as glass.
But there are people who don't see that. So that's, I think, a big tip. Takeaways, guys. Have fun. Please. Heralding is some of the most fun. The LAM system.
I have one thing I wanted to mention. I didn't want to interrupt you or anything. It's about the moving people for team balancing versus moving units versus individuals. The biggest thing about that to know as a piece of advice is the size of the event. If you are running a day battle, do not be afraid to move an individual. You're running a 800 person field, you're going to be moving units, not individuals. 100%. That's where the knowledge becomes. The also thing is that even on a field this size, 3 people could change a fight. The other big thing about that is that we talked about this before, knowing the individuals to talk to. And the reason why he kept using Picnic a lot as an easy example is that Picnic, he's here to have fun. He also knows that on a small field, he might get asked to swap because he's as good as he is. He's a great person to do that too, versus like a newbie. Say you've got a group of 5 newbies, and you think, oh, I could move 3 of them. Now you're splitting up some newbies. Nah, always go grab a vet. Yeah. Go grab somebody that is respected and of a higher tier within your community, and ask those people to swap. Because what you're doing as a new herald is you are setting yourself up for a guaranteed success. Meaning that this anxiety that you feel about, oh, I'm going to ask this person to switch, they're going to get mad about it, I'm going to upset somebody else's time. No. There's dozens of us here that at any point someone can say, hey, can you go switch? Literally yesterday, he walked up to me and said, it's just you and Bambi? Sweet, switch teams. Without hesitation. Sorry, friends. Knowing who you can say that to will set yourself up for success to build that confidence in heralding that you're trying to improve. The more you can do that, we're all simple monkeys. The more you can do that to your brain, the more you will know, oh, this is actually really easy. And then when you realize how easy it is, that will reaffirm everything that you're being taught, everything that you're being told. And those easy successes are how you build your confidence. I don't know how many of us are anxious, but this is a actual psychological way to build confidence. Guaranteed successes are your best friend.
And then we've got a word on LAM from the originator of LAM.
So the LAM concept, the loud, intensive, mobile bouncer, comes with a caveat. Okay.
No!
All right, so let me project more, and notice I'm not yelling at you. I'm still talking to you. I'm just talking to all of you. But you know I'm not angry. So one thing when you are trying to tell somebody that they are cheating is to remember that shot taking is a skill in and of itself. And always assume ignorance, not malice. Most people don't cheat on purpose. Some people don't even know that standing in front of them, I can hit them in the back. And the first time it happens, they're not going to know what happened. They're not even going to know they got hit. So if you have in your brain, this person doesn't know they're cheating. Instead of this being a confrontation, this is now information sharing, which means it's not so bad. And the first time you ever have to break up the angry situation is the first time you write your check that tells everybody I'm willing to do that. Because what that is willing to step into the middle of a fight. Well, once everybody knows you can do that and will, they will most definitely put their weapons down to make sure that you stay safe. Because that's what you're worried about when you step into that conflict, if they're going to swing on me. You may not think about that consciously at the top of your brain, but your reptile brain is worried about that. That's it.
All right, are there any questions before we wrap this up? Thank you guys so much for your 40 minutes. I really appreciate it. Any questions? Dope. Thank you all so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.